right, Tricia, let us know when you're ready.
1 second. Quiet.
Good evening, everyone. Calling to order the Brisbane Parks and Recreation Commission meeting of October 12th at 6:30. And let's start with a roll call. Let's start, Teresa.
Jimenez, here.
Bonnie Bologoff here.
Lynn's here.
Fryer here.
Covino, present.
Thank you. And do I have a motion to approve the adoption of tonight's agenda?
I move that we adopt the agenda.
I second.
Okay, any discussion, anything to add or delete? I think it looks good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And let's approve the minutes that Tricia sent to us. Do we have a motion to approve?
I have motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
great. Any discussion here? Any changes? Looks great, Tricia, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Citizen communications, no citizens today in our audience. Old business, let's start with 6A, Community Park Cleanup Policy. This is a follow-up on the discussion we had based on piñata litter and chocolate left on the ground.
That is correct. I don't know if someone from the facilities subcommittee wants to share the conversation that they had with the larger commission. I believe that the recommendation was to leave the policy as is, but update some of the verbiage to include party props, which encompasses piñatas. So we've provided for you the guidelines for picnic rentals in the park, and this is something that all renters receive when they submit a reservation.
So, Noreen, could you let us know what we've updated in the park use guidelines? Did you update anything? Or are we talking about, should we look at updating them?
That's
This
what I
is
believe.
The existing
Yes.
one. Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, so we were looking at just including some further verbiage as to cleanup, I think. And were we going to, did we decide to add the party prop info and question? I can't remember. I think so. Lyle, do you recall?
What I recall is that we were looking at the information to add it, but upon looking at the permit that you submit, it does have piñatas on there. So
Oh, that's right, it did.
It did have the called into question what's there. In section B of the community use guidelines, other considerations number 2, it does talk about the responsibilities of cleaning up for extra mess and things like that. Looking at the use guidelines, the only thing that, again, we thought about adding was something along beyond just piñatas, but any other kind of party props, maybe balloons or other types of activities or things you might, potentially have some garbage or refuge from to consider. But otherwise, in regards to piñatas specifically, they're called out in the permit, and we do have some data on how many a year we get, because again, that's filled out. So again, I in regards of the use guidelines, if we're going to add anything, it would be something along the lines of party props in addition to the types of things that one could, do. Other than that, there wasn't much more to add.
Okay, yes, it looks like the cleanup is addressed in B2.
Right.
Let's see, if we were to add the party prop information, where would that go? Let's see. What do you think, Noreen? Where would that seem to be appropriate?
I'd probably suggest it be number 3 following number 2. It seems to make the most sense there, and we could shuffle down the other guidelines.
So the information that would be added would be something along the lines of party props should be, is it something about keeping them in the gazebo area for easy cleanup, or was it just?
I think possibly just including some verbiage about it being the renter's responsibility to clean up and remove party props from the site following their reservation.
Okay. Well, I think we could just add that in a sentence, maybe, that can just be part of B2, do you think, just including?
three.
Yeah, it could be part of B3.
That's right, B3, yeah, that would work. Including, we could just add it to the end, including party props. Okay,
Okay.
that'd be great. Thank you. All right, so let's move to the next. Let's go to 6B. This is date change for the November meeting, and that's because,
Well, so
Oh.
I'm, go ahead. Go
okay,
ahead.
no, go ahead.
We put it on there because we just recently found out that we no longer need to change our meeting. They're not using that date anymore, the 9th. So if everybody wants to go back to the 9th, we can do that, or we can just stay with the 2nd, which is what we decided to do.
I'm okay with the 9th.
Because that's our normal second Wednesday, but
Yeah.
apparently council thought they were going to have a special meeting and then they changed their minds. So thought I'd give everybody the opportunity to decide if they want to go back to the original date.
On my shared calendar with Cliff, it still shows that there's a meeting on the 9th, but that's been canceled?
I've
Okay.
been told.
Okay. Need to update our calendar here. Would anyone like to move back to the 9th? Does that work better for anyone's schedules?
It's okay with me.
I
you
think it's
prefer that?
great. Yeah, keep it consistent.
Okay, would you like
Makes no
to?
Am I?
Okay. Lyle,
Is my mic on?
yes.
Okay, can't tell.
It has a green light.
Okay.
Didn't hear it.
So Lyle, how does that work for you? Do you want to
The
move?
9th is fine.
Okay.
9th is fine.
So why don't we go ahead and move that back to the 9th? That seems
Sure.
good for everyone. Put that on my personal calendar. Excellent. All right, good. That is done. Okay, new business. 7A, Lagoon Cleanup Recap.
First and foremost, I want to thank Bonnie for volunteering that day. We appreciate you being out there. But I just thought I would share how the event went. I think it was pretty successful.
I think it was.
Yeah, there were about 20 volunteers that spanned over all throughout the lagoon and surrounding areas. There were a couple of dumpsters that we had, and once the day was complete, one dumpster was completely full and was continued to add more items to it throughout the week before the dumpsters were picked up, so that was great. Volunteers removed debris and garbage and cleared the area just to kind of maintain our beautiful waterway. So we very much appreciate everybody who came out. Cliff was out there as well with his buckets. So it was a beautiful day, great event. Volunteers were rewarded with lunch at the end of the day. So
Nice.
I think it was very successful.
Excellent. Wonderful. And then how about a day in the park recap?
So I know the subcommittee hasn't had the opportunity to meet and hold our usual debrief of the event, but at least this gives the larger commission an opportunity if you want to provide feedback about how you felt the day went, and then we will schedule our follow-up meeting with the subcommittee to kind of get through the nitty-gritty and have conversation about what worked well and what didn't and what will change for next year. So I would just
I think
open
it
up the floor.
worked well. The setup was really nice, I thought. You know, having them all together on the street like that, I thought that was nice. I guess there was some grumbling, but there's always going to be grumbling.
The feedback that I got was far and away positive. I thought it was by and large successful. You know, that we took some chances, we changed some things up, and of course, I think in subcommittee, you know, they'll look carefully at what can be improved in the future. But I thought, you know, we tried some different things, and I think that it paid off by and large. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the staff for all the hard work that you guys did to put that on, because I know we say do this, do that, and then you guys have got to actually make it happen. So I thought it was a really wonderful day.
Yes, I did too.
I thought so as well. Of course, you know, there's areas I think we could fine tune next year to make it a little bit better, hopefully. But I think overall it was a great day, and it was. I think everyone who came really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, that was a lot of work putting that together, but I like the, I've heard, I was sorry to miss it, but I heard a lot of people talk about how they appreciated the kind of refresh and looking at new ideas and trying some new things, the layout, et cetera, and some of the new features. So I think that it would be great to have a good recap of that and discussion and kind of figure out what we can move forward with. We won't have the budget next this year, but to incorporate some of the things that really worked. So.
Yeah. I think one of the things that didn't work again this year for the second year in a row was the teen center or the teen area.
Yeah, it didn't work.
But I'm really, really hopeful that once we get Yak off the ground again and we get more teen interest and ideas from our teen community for what they would like, rather than us just as, old people deciding what the teens might like, that we can really bring some new life to that area. So
I think so. I think
that's
if you
my
had
hope.
the teens driving it, and then
Yes.
they would be able to talk
They'd
to
spread
friends
the
about
word
it, and I think that
create
you're
the
right.
buzz. Correct. It's really hard for us to create any kind of a buzz in the teen community, so
true.
it has to come from within
That's true.
their own peer group.
Exactly.
So
Good. Anything else? Any other feedback? Sounds like a successful day. Very exciting. Okay, let's move on to reports. Chairperson report. I don't have terribly much, except I did go to the library stakeholder meeting yesterday with the with Siegel and Strain, the architect that we are working with, and the plans look fantastic. They had they had some community feedback at the event at the community center not too long ago, and they incorporated some of that in some small tweaks in the design. So they presented that to us, and it's looking great. They're still thinking about what the entry, the main, the front, the part that fronts visitation, the main entrance, what that's going to look like. They're looking at an overhang right now for a roof, but they're trying to figure out, do we have a support under that or not? And if so, what does it look like? And they showed us one that had kind of an organic shape, like a tree, holding up the roof, which we liked. So they're working with a lot of vision and again the community input, and it's very exciting to see what's coming about. So it's going to be quite a treat for our community to have that new library, and it's absolutely beautiful in design right now.
great.
And I believe the updated design will be available at the library when you walk in behind the auto checkout kiosks. They're putting the floor plan and some of the design elements and some of the sketches there, so people can come see it. And I believe they're presenting at the council meeting. I don't know, it might be the next one, within the next few weeks, so the new plan. All right, let's see. How about subcommittee reports? Let's start with concerts in the park. Who would like to report on? Teresa?
Teresa?
Actually, Kevin
I
is
think-
going to do that one
yeah.
tonight.
Okay,
I think
great.
we did that one tonight. So we had a postmortem meeting for Concerts in the Park, and we had a good representation from the community there to give us some feedback, and it was interesting to hear what they had to say, and it reinforced some. I think it reinforced some of our own ideas about concerts in the park. We had a conversation about food trucks, plus or minus. We had a little bit of difficulty with food truck this last season, some logistical things, and maybe a little pushback from the Lions Club. But we had a representative from the Lions Club there, and so we talked it out with him. And generally, it's felt that food trucks are a good thing to have when the concerts in the park, when we're presenting somebody at concerts in the park, that brings outsiders into the community. And that wouldn't deter from local businesses. It's the locals who go up the street and get something from the local restaurants and bring it down. So we sort of sorted that out. We asked the question about whether they wanted quality over quantity, and of course you can imagine that the response was absolutely quality over quantity. We also did a little poll of the things that we presented this last year, whether it was thumbs up, thumbs down, and so on, and two of them were absolute no's. 2 of them were so-sos, 2 of them were yeses, and 1 was all thumbs up and highly recommended. And I should point out that that was Andre Thierry, which was a recommendation by Teresa. Let me just see what else I've got here before. The big thing that we talked about is the funding and the fundraising. And there is a big concern in the community, and this is a conversation that I also remember back from my previous time on the commission, about what happens to donations that are donated towards this, and at the end of the year, if there's a surplus, the fact that the current policy is it just gets rolled over into the general fund. Now, the last time around when we had this discussion, the counter argument to that is, well, look, when there's a deficit, the city picks it up. So I did a little number crunching. We had some numbers here, and hang on a second, I look at my notes. 2012 and 2013, both of those years we did have a surplus. Those were the years where I was on this subcommittee in the past, and we had this conversation. However, in 1, 2, 3, 4 other years surrounding it, it had a deficit, and the net deficit across those 6 years is about $1,000 a year. But there's also another thing to observe in the 2012 and 2013 years where we had a surplus, is that the amount of money we raised was significantly more, $2,000 to $3,000 more, in fact. So this is a conversation I think we need to have. What we got from the community, and what I absolutely agree with, in spite of the fact that we have more deficit years than surplus years, is that we should make a policy that every check that's written or donated to the for this event should go to paying artist fees, and that if there is a surplus, there needs to be a mechanism whereby it rolls over into the next year. I think that the decrease in fundraising, we may have seen some of this decrease in fundraising because people got wind of the idea that when they write a check, if there's a surplus, that money goes to other projects.
In fact, 2 people said they didn't.
That's right. 2 people who were there, and everybody who was there had been people who raised money. Furthermore, some of the people who are at the table who have written checks sort of indicated that they would cease that practice if we didn't fix this policy. I also think that in terms of writing a fundraising letter, that it's a powerful thing when you write that paragraph that says every dime you give us goes into the pockets of musicians. It's a strong pull. So I don't know whether this is a conversation that needs to be agendized for a future meeting, but I think it is a real key issue that would have a strong impact on how much money we can raise in the future. Also, just the integrity of when you're asking for money, where that money goes. But I think that it would, if we want to grow this in quality, get better bands, which cost more money, then really that issue has to be addressed. There were a couple of other ideas that came. We talked about the time of year, which has been an issue in the past. Some people want it earlier because it's light longer. Some people want it later in the year. And we had people on both sides of that equation. It actually sort of settled out that we're kind of doing in the right time slot as best we can. One of the suggestions that came up, and I thought it was an interesting one, and when we have our next meeting, our next subcommittee meeting, we'll discuss this, is the idea of having a DJ night where we don't have a band. Rather, we have a DJ. We rent a dance floor for under that gazebo. It would be an inexpensive evening that would help us to take some of those funds and use them towards getting more expensive, better bands. So that's not something we settled on, but I think that's something that we'll come back around and talk about.
Right.
One more thing, and that is that we want to start booking the bands as we find them now. And of course, I think we'll probably, at our next meeting, agree to book Andre Thierry, because that was a great success as we start to look for more bands.
Good.
that's, we talked a little bit about passing out donation buckets. We haven't had a chance to really talk about who would do that and whether
That's come up a lot.
Yeah,
since
I think
since
we'll
I joined the
process that a little
commission,
bit
and
in our
I
next
think we
meeting.
do need to revisit that again.
But did you guys have, what else? What am I missing from that?
I think that's it.
I think you covered everything.
Yeah.
It was a very good meeting. It was
It was a
very,
great
it was
meeting.
very productive to get
And we had citizens there.
that kind
Quite
of,
a
yeah,
few.
that
It
kind
wasn't
of
just us.
community feedback from, I think there were something like 7 people there for whom this is a really important event. But the big question is, how do we handle the conversation or the discussion about changing, whether we should change or changing this fundraising policy? I guess that's the thing. Do we put that on agenda for the next agenda? So I would suggest we put that on the next agenda.
Yeah.
That would be good. Yes, definitely. Well, exciting. I'm looking forward to getting the subcommittee more involved for the band selection next time, and I'm really glad that you're getting such a head start and planning that out right now, and terrific.
Great recap, Kevin.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, good. How about public art?
Okay, Kevin.
Aren't you tired of hearing me talk yet?
No.
Public art's shorter. So we did have a public art meeting. We are almost finished with the implementation guidelines, the very first draft of the implementation guidelines. So we talked about what's next. We need one more meeting before to finish that up. So I would think that by the December meeting, if we have a December meeting, and there was some conversation early on about when we got to December whether we'd skip it or not, but if we have a December meeting, I think that first draft should be on the agenda and then have the entire commission read it and take a look at it and help us to where, what's clear, what's not clear, is there different ways, tweaking on, and so on. We thought after that, then we would go back to subcommittee and again invite key members of the community to read it and come to us and then have them talk about it and ask us questions. Why are you doing it this way? And then we can explain our decision-making process and maybe in that explanation find that there's a better way to do it and so on. The process of vetting this
Right.
now that it's done.
That sounds good.
And then after that, maybe it comes back one more time to the commission and then we send it to the city council. I think I mentioned last time about public art, and I hope this is the right place to talk about it, that meanwhile, we do have public art. The public arts ordinance has been triggered. We have a public art bit in the new library, and I have somewhere on my calendar a meeting to have in this ad hoc meeting, which includes
I think November 1st.
November 1st or 2nd. It's on my calendar.
Yeah, I think so.
And we talked a little bit in this subcommittee meeting about the mural that's on the side of Midtown, yes. And one of the things that we might do somewhere down the line is look at restoring it. It is, it's 10 years, 12 years old, and it's beginning to show some wear and tear. But that triggers a bunch of issues about ownership. Who owns it? That was done by Best PTO, not by the city. Who owns it? And then if we do the restoration, do we then officially own it and so on? I know Stuart's been in contact with the original artist, and we're beginning to have that conversation, but whether that's something that we will do or not is still really early in the game. And that's it. Did I cover everything?
Yes.
Okay.
So the meeting on the 1st is to put together or approve an RFP?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes, for
Because
the
we
library.
need to move that along because
Yes.
the library, the design group would like to have that sooner than later so that they can incorporate
Right.
artwork into the plan. So, okay, that sounds good. I have that on my calendar. Welcome, Renee. How are you?
Thank you, sorry I was
Meeting
late.
to meeting.
Yes, meeting to meeting.
Glad you could make it. Excellent. Okay, thank you, Kevin. And how about an update on Festival of Lights? Festival of Lights, who's on that?
We met on that. We met on that, and we had Camille Salmon and the
Oh, good.
voice teacher from Lipman,
Okay, good.
and they're going to be part of the program. So it's going to be basically pretty much what we've always had, very few changes. They suggested maybe coming down visitation, that they stop in front of some businesses in Carroll and bring those businesses
That would be
into it
nice, yeah.
instead of just straight down. So that has to be fine-tuned, I guess. But other than that, it was a good meeting because they had ideas, and that helps us have ideas. So I think we'll meet again. So
And
for
Festival
now,
of
that's
Lights
all.
is- What is the date of that?
Oh,
It's December 4th.
December
December
4th.
4th. That's right.
Okay. I see it on here. Okay. It's a Sunday.
If I may, through the chair, the other thing we did discuss is there might be another little, what did we call them? Party props. The snow globe.
Oh, that's right, for
We
pictures.
talked about
I
possibly
forgot.
maybe having a snow globe where you take pictures in it. And also redoing the seating where we'd have the performers on the seating on the street of San Francisco and the performers on the sidewalk and in the grass. So you're actually looking towards the performers and the tree to the left, where we've always had our back to the tree, the audience,
Yes, yes.
and do
Oh,
that.
that could be,
Just-
that could work.
Just kind of change it up. Or
And what
thinking
did
about
Camille
that.
think about dancing on the grass?
it was her suggestion.
Oh,
That's
okay,
her
good.
suggestion.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, good. Because I think that would be a better angle
Mm-hmm.
for the audience.
That's what they were
That's-
thinking. That's why we said,
More
instead of
attractive.
facing the apartments,
Yes, yes.
face the other way, and they would be on the sidewalk and the grass in there.
And we could have people sitting, because we only have so many seats, and then people are standing a lot. They can't see, so maybe doing it that way.
I do recall that in the past that has been a little soggy on the grass, so.
It is.
Yeah.
Seems to be a little
Yeah.
wet.
Guess we'll have to incorporate that into the dance somehow, but, okay.
So-
Excellent. Anything else about Festival of Lights? Thank you for that report. And how about teens?
I'll be reporting on that.
Excellent.
Kevin and I met with Ricardo. We had a really good meeting, I think. We discussed the budget, some issues with the school bus, which have been resolved to this point and seem to be going in a better direction. We talked a lot about YAC and bringing it back. And one of the things we discussed was in order to get, we're having problems like getting the teens in town interested in joining YAC. Right now, Ricardo has received 5 applications, and only one of them is from Brisbane. The other 4 are from out of town. And so we really discussed, whether that would be something we'd want or not want. And let's see.
Are the other 4 within our school district? Are they daily?
No, I think he said they were from Mercy. Was it Mercy Burlingame?
Oh.
Yeah.
I see, I see.
Yeah. So that's a really big thing, and we decided that, and then also what the role of YAC would be, the role and the guidelines for them as a group. And so we kind of taking a page from Kevin and the public arts subcommittee, we decided that we would have Ricardo gather from other cities what their guidelines were, and then we'll get back together and we'll agendize it, and we'll gather the information, and then we'll bring it back to the commission. We'll agendize it and we'll discuss it then. But we looked at our basic, our plan, our work plan, and really decided that the YAC was getting the YAC together. The formation was really the most important thing, just like for our Day in the Park whole teen thing we planned. We really need those teens to come in and give us guidance as to what they want before we really move forward with other areas of the plan. That really seems to be the most important first step, going forward. And I think I think that's pretty much it. Anything else, Kevin, that you can recall?
Thank
Okay.
you for that
Yeah.
report. Excellent. Good. Well, we have a lot going on, moving right along. So setting subcommittee meetings. So which subcommittees need to meet this month? Let me pull up my list.
I think we have to meet Concerts in the Park, the after.
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think Concerts in the Park should meet monthly until we have next
Okay.
season locked in.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Sure.
that's, if it takes us 3, 4, 5 meetings to get next season locked in.
When are you back?
I'm back 27th of October. I'm just going.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it does push us into November
Okay.
for that.
Okay, did you want to look at a date right now, you guys, or?
We can.
Yeah.
That would, I think, help Tricia.
It makes life easier for Tricia.
Mm-hmm. Since we're all here.
So
That
did you
calendar.
say the beginning of November or
We come back on the by the 28th.
28th, so.
of October?
Yes.
Okay.
So 31st is fine.
31st is Halloween,
Yes.
We're not going to
Come in
do it on
costume?
Halloween.
so maybe the 7th?
7th.
Okay.
Okay.
It's open turning.
And what time works for you?
Um,
It depends on you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
We don't work.
I can be here as early as 5:30. 6 gives me breathing room. Just depends.
How does that work for staff? That's on Monday,
Oh, that's right.
after hours.
Mm.
Okay. 6 o'clock?
Okay.
Okay. That's Concerts in the Park. Who else needs to meet? Public Art is already meeting.
Probably.
We already have a date, don't we?
I have the 9th for public art.
Yeah.
But when is that,
We're going to have
Well,
the meeting on the 9th now.
yeah, but I think your public art will probably be over. Isn't it start at 4? So you'll be over before
Oh,
the
okay.
meeting.
Should we, starts at 4. Should we move that down a little bit so we, say 4 to 5:30? Should we move it closer to our
Regular
regular
meeting.
meetings? So we
Yes.
don't have a gap in between? What do you think?
That's fine with me.
Maybe, usually we meet about an hour, hour and a half?
Hour and a half is
Hour and a
okay.
half, so should we do 5?
5.
5.
So I'll switch that and send Stuart the information to change it from 4 to 5.
That would be great.
Okay.
5, yeah, because, like this.
Should we meet on Festival of Lights, Renee?
I think we said we would meet next in early November.
Okay.
So we can set that time now if you guys want to.
Want to go ahead and set that? Okay.
When are we meet, are we still meeting on the 2nd?
We were meeting on the 9th now. Does that work
Meeting
for
back
you?
on 9th. Yes, but
We
I
could do the
was
2nd.
going to spend my birthday with you. Jeez, now
Oh,
you
that's
messed
right.
me
Is
all
that,
up.
is that the second? Well, you can do the Festival of Lights subcommittee meeting that night.
Oh, no, never mind.
Okay, guess that's
Never
Yours is the
mind.
Then we could
second,
go out
mine's
and
the
celebrate
4th.
properly.
Mine's the 4th.
Okay,
Oh, really?
yeah, the 9th is fine.
I'm putting this on my calendar.
That's a regular meeting.
Oh,
No, the Festival of Lights we're trying to get it.
yeah, thank you.
You don't want to do that on the 2nd?
No. So can we do, our meeting's at 6:30, can we do Festival of Lights before that meeting? Or,
Well, I think Bonnie's in public art,
oh, you're
Yeah,
public
which
art
will be
then.
before.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah. But they're not.
You're open to anything? I don't want, how about the 16th? 16th, good?
November 16th?
Mm-hmm.
What time?
That's a Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
How about 4:30? 4:30 good?
Sure.
Okay, good. Any other subcommittees need to meet?
The concerts in the park wrap up.
Yeah.
And possibly teens.
You mean
Day in the park.
That's what I meant.
Day in the park debrief.
Yes.
When is that?
We can. It is Teresa and Bonnie and David.
Yeah.
Do we want to do another?
Well,
We could.
I think the hardest part is getting David at the meeting, so perhaps we should send out an email to him and ask him when he's available.
Okay.
Either that, or we can meet, with Bonnie and
Well, I think
as long as
ask-
there's two
ask
of us.
when he's available, I
Yeah.
think.
Okay.
Okay.
But if he has no availability, we could meet without him just as we did
Right.
for the
I
teen.
can work at least one subcommittee meeting with emails back and forth.
Okay, good.
Okay, good.
And
And-
if we're going to meet with teens again, that's Kevin and I and David, so you might ask him at the same time when he's available for a teen subcommittee meeting.
We do those two
And we can
back
do
to
them,
back.
we can do them back to back on the same day.
Great. Okay. Wonderful. Let's move on to commissioners. Do we have any commissioner reports today?
Nope.
Other than all the wonderful subcommittee reports we've heard already? Excellent.
Madam Chair, just back to the subcommittees. Tomorrow night, there's the Trails Master
Oh,
Plan
yes.
meeting to look at work plan number 4.
Okay,
So
good.
there's a meeting tomorrow night that we'll be looking at that.
Excellent.
Just to
Can't wait
update.
to hear about that.
So, yeah, in November, I'll give you an update of what we talk about.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Terrific. Good, okay. And then let's move on to staff programs report.
Just a couple of items. We're starting to work on our winter spring activity guide, which will come out the first week of December. So we're piecing that together slowly but surely. So we're welcoming ideas from the community for new classes and programs in the winter and spring. We held our first underwater pumpkin patch at the pool last weekend on
That
Saturday.
sounds like it was fun, was it?
It was a hit. There were over 200 people.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes. So it was,
Great.
I think it helped that it was a really warm
Were
day.
there enough pumpkins?
Yes. Yes, there's a few left over, but we will use them in our preschool and after school programs. So the staff facilitated some games. They had like a candy corn candy guess and a few games before the adults got the opportunity to throw all of the pumpkins into the pool, and I think they may have had more fun than the kids. It was a hit for them. And then the staff blew the whistle, and all the kids jumped in, and it was very fun to see. And we posted an album of photos on our
I love
Park and Rec Facebook page, so feel free to check it out. But being that it was a first-time event at the pool, we felt it was a really good success, having that great of
Sounds
a
like
turnout.
fun.
It was
Yeah.
surprisingly educational too. I had a child today, a kindergartner, at Science Exploration Day at BES, tell me about density in relation to water and pumpkins.
Nice.
So
Everyone was one. I mean, the most common asked
kindergartner.
question,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
leading up to the event was whether or not they float or sink.
right.
At least we were able to answer that question for some people. And those that were not able to attend have already said, please do it again next year. So I think it was very successful, and kudos to the pool staff for running a great event. And lastly, we have our second dive-in movie at the pool this coming Saturday night. It's Zootopia at 7:30 to 10, excuse me. And then just to mark your calendars, we already touched briefly on it, Festival of Lights is December 4th.
Excellent.
That's all I have.
Okay. Also, I just wanted to mention that Teresa and I went to the salsa class, and it seems to be very well attended and a lot of enthusiasm and excitement about the class. We were there, actually, we didn't get to take class with the instructor. He was out that day. Ken Delmar was kind enough to fill in and teach all of us. But I'm looking forward to going to class tomorrow, and it seems like that was a great addition. So excited about that. How are the Zumba classes doing? No, they're not really. Have we had to cancel classes? Do we have? Are we able to keep them going with a small group of people? We need more people to go to those classes.
No.
Really?
One person maybe
Oh.
a week, and there's been probably the majority of them just nobody shows up.
What a shame.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's the reasoning is always Mission Blue is so far away and nobody can seem to get up there to, but I don't really think that that's the case anymore. I just think Zumba's not what it used to be maybe, and I think people are looking for something different. Salsa does great. The Tahitian dance classes do amazing.
Yes, yes.
And they're up at Mission Blue, so I don't really think location is the issue at this point. I think
I
people
agree.
are just looking for something different maybe.
I
so.
wonder.
The yoga class still goes on Wednesday nights. She has a handful of people that show up every week up at Mission Blue. So
Okay. Are we going to continue with the Zumba classes, or are we going to try to find something else that's more
I think it's
popular?
been several weeks that we've allowed the low attendance, and so I think we're probably to the point where it doesn't seem that there's enough interest to sustain a program, and
Shame.
the instructor feels the same. So I
Yeah.
think we're probably about ready to say that we will discontinue it for now, unless there seems to be an influx of interest from the community. And at that point, we can look at reinstating it.
Okay.
So-
Disappointing though, because I know that people have mentioned to me that they are interested in adult fitness classes. So I don't know, maybe it's a different kind of class that they would like to see. It's hard to say.
Yeah, we did have some community boards out at the Day in the Park asking people what types of classes and
Oh.
programs they'd like to see.
Yeah.
And so we got some feedback there. We're going to look at bringing in some of those options potentially for the winter spring session, trying some additional adult fitness classes and seeing what sticks.
What kind of classes came up?
I
more
know,
often than not?
I'm trying to recall off the top of my head, there were a few suggestions for morning yoga, and I think that's been tried before, but we're
Yeah,
willing to
okay.
try again if it seems like there's enough interest. There were a few people that started it on the board, so it might be something that goes this time around. What else? I think there was maybe a Pilates that was on there. So I think we're just going to look at the trends and the surrounding, talk to our local neighboring cities as to what's working well in their cities, and maybe borrowing one of their contractors and trying to bring some of those programs here. So
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's true.
I love the idea of a Pilates class. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that.
I have one thing. I went last night up to the Mission Blue to the fine arts drawing, oil painting class to observe it. Very good. And he asked me, he didn't come here and talk at public comments, did he? Okay.
No.
Okay. I told him to
This is
come
Michael-
on down.
Michael
Rodman. And he's been doing this class for 5 years now, and it's pretty good. He has about, I think, 9 people. I might even join. So I kind of went to check it out. But he asked me to ask the commission. The one thing, he's in the one room, the little meeting room. And there's 8 lights in the ceiling, recessed lights. And he was wondering if they could be fixed with LED lights. It'd be better lighting. It's the fluorescent lights right now, and the lighting just
Makes the
isn't.
color off.
Yeah.
It distorts the color.
And he said, you know, those are, they last like about 20 years. I don't know anything really about LED lights, but there's 8 of them there in the ceiling. So I just told him I'd bring it back and see what you guys say. It is a successful program, and that's where he does it at. So, and I don't know if anybody else uses it for meetings, but it's just something to consider.
I do know that Shirley Lim also uses it for her youth art classes, but that's during the day, so the lighting might be, you know, a little bit different in that respect. But
Yeah, because he's there from, what is it, 6 to 8:30?
6 to 8:30.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, so it does get dark.
Yeah, well, using a different light bulb doesn't require.
Well, and he talked to Terry about it a little bit, and I kind of see some of the lights that you have in here that might be, and she said, you know, that when they go out, they have to replace them, but I guess these LED lights wouldn't go out as frequently. I know they're expensive, but in the long run, it might be, that's what he said, 20 years. I don't know if that's the life expectancy of those lights or not, but I thought I'd pass it on to the commission here and see what your thoughts are. I don't know if it needs to go to a subcommittee of programs or what, but it might be something worthwhile to look into.
Yeah, seems like a simple enough fix. I don't
Yeah.
think it'd be that expensive.
Right.
How do we go about that, Noreen? What's your suggestion?
We can look into it as staff and see what the financial
Yeah.
impact would be and whether or not the commission wants to make a recommendation to city council for that expense if it seems to be a substantial expense.
Yeah. Would you reach out to him too and just tell him that
Absolutely.
I mentioned it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else for programs report? Thank you very much. Commission matters, any written communications?
No.
No, me neither?
No.
And commission calendar, so next month on the 9th, what will we need to, what is going to carry over? Let's see. We'll have a number of subcommittee reports. Anything else? We finished with the lagoon cleanup, day in the park. Is there anything you can think of?
So at the last meeting, we had 2 items that we were going to hold over until the November meeting. And for the life of me, I can only remember one of them.
Okay.
And that was the North Hill. We were going to discuss the North Hill, whatever.
It was the,
I remember.
the,
It's the skate park naming policy
Was that?
because it's going to city council on the October 20th.
right.
So I think we were going to talk
Okay,
about next
okay,
steps.
and then the other one, if my fuzzy memory will get it right, was to have a broad discussion. I am the liaison
Right.
for
That's correct.
use of the 280 South Hill sale proceeds, and I
South
believe,
Hill. I said North Hill.
and I believe at the last meeting I said this is great. I don't know when this is going to come up, but I should be should be representing a consensus of what the commission feels, and I think at that point we said, well, it should be put on the agenda so that we can have a discussion about that.
So that was the other one. Okay, so those 2 things.
And then also on next month's agenda, we would want to talk about the policy of fundraising for concerts in the park, so that
Yes.
we can
Have-
get a definitive answer on that, so that we can plan in our subcommittee fundraising stuff accordingly.
Yeah, I have that one on here as well. So those are the 3 things that I have, and I don't know if there's something else we want to put on there.
I can't think of anything at the moment. Does anyone else have anything? Okay.
Well, if we manage in our subcommittee meeting to pull together the YAC, that was going to be agendized also, but I don't know if we'll be ready by November. I hope so.
Depends when we can get a subcommittee meeting scheduled, but we could,
How quickly Ricardo can gather all the information, whether we have time to go over it. So
And whether we have a meeting.
So maybe maybe before you put the agenda out, you could ask if we're ready to have that agendized.
Well, and we'll see how easy it is for us to get that meeting together. We might not
Right.
even get it before the next meeting. So
Correct.
I don't usually typically do the agenda
Okay.
that far ahead anyway.
Okay.
So I'll know by that time whether or not we're going to be, and I'll get it on there
Okay.
if we're able to.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's it. Does anyone have anything else?
No.
Okay, Noreen and Tricia, thank you. Thank you, commissioners, and I adjourn the meeting.